Let's queer up the worldview. PrideFête looks at queer Cuba and why LGBTQ is doing so well on the communist island. As Hurricane Ian approached the region last year, the Cuban government announced that about 66.9% of the voters with valid ballots were in favor of legalizing LGBTQ plus marriage and family planning. About 2/3 of the population voted to approve reforms in a new family code, which will also allow surrogate pregnancies and give gay couples the right to adopt children. It marked a big moment for Cuba, which saw gay people persecuted and sent to work camps in 1960s and 70s. The referendum was for a new family code, a 100-page document that went through more than 24 drafts and hours of debate in community-level meetings. Cuba's government backed the law change and ran a nationwide campaign urging people to approve it. Official attitudes towards homosexuality on the communist-run island have changed over the past decades, partly thanks to the efforts of former leader Raúl Castro's daughter, Mariela Castro. More than 700 same-sex marriages have been celebrated in Cuba since the new family code was approved in a referendum last year. The Cuban National Center for Sex Education, CENESEX, has played an important role in this battle against LGBTQ plus phobia. The progress shown by the country is even inspiring for the gayest place on the planet, Earth. South Florida has the largest Cuban community of any place in the world, and PrideFête is a perfect festival to celebrate the LGBTQ plus progress in Cuba and the Caribbean LGBTQ plus community across the world. We have such a beautiful opportunity here. And it just to take a moment to just recognize that, especially with PrideFête. And hey, Cuba, go ahead.
But can you believe that we're actually talking about something positive with Cuba? Because in America, you're so used to hearing the negative aspects of Cuba. We just talked about Raúl and his family in a positive way. It kind of makes me want to go put a mic in front of a Cuban gay Republican in Miami and be like,
you want to go there? You want to go there?
what do you think of this? You know, because it's so interesting that a place, again, that is normally talked about in such negativity in America is doing something so incredible for our community. And you can't deny that, you know, that they're doing something incredible. Have any of you been to Cuba?
Not yet, unfortunately.
It's on the list.
Yeah, and no, I haven't been, but I would love to. It was unique in my family to speak about the Cuban experience, because when there was negativity a lot about Cuba and its history and things like that, my family always stayed on the fence about talking about some of the positive aspects about Cuba. Like, for instance, the revolution really came about because of how they treated dark-skinned people in Cuba, you know? So the fact that it was liberated against that oppression, but then saw a dictator and it fell back into a hurtful place is interesting. But to celebrate LGBTQ plus love is lost on so many Caribbean communities, is lost on so many communities just across the globe, that to know that a Caribbean environment is really pushing forward for it, you know, to see that percentage, you know, and then they did a campaign on it. Like, I want to be in that campaign. like let me put on a fat outfit. Wait, PrideFête in Cuba.
Oh, okay.
You've been PrideFête.
I'm available.
I will go to that.
Right? Right.
I'm here. I'm right here.
Let's call the sister.
Let's call it, ask if we could come.
Right.
But
Hotspots Media Happening Out Television Network presents PrideFête, an LGBTQ plus Caribbean Pride Festival, on Saturday, August 12th at Wilton Manors, Richardson Park on Wilton Drive.
join more than 1,000 guests as we celebrate Caribbean queer culture with live entertainment, exotic costumes in the spirit of Carnival, unique foods, and so much more.
PrideFête is presented by the generosity of Black, Spark, and AHF.
PrideFête celebrates the diversity of 33 Caribbean nations that are as diverse as our LGBTQ plus community.
PrideFête will be from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. with dynamic and fun pre- and post parties.
General admission and VIP experience tickets and more information is available at pridefête.lgbt.
Welcome to PrideFête!
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.